While managing his health, David completed a 42-city world tour with Pitbull, Mr. 305 himself, on home dialysis, proving that life doesn't stop with kidney disease.
That's how I pushed through it and got to that point. You talked about going on tour and all that. Just wasn't going to let nothing stop me, man, from getting to it. I already had let it take so many things from me and had no control. And once I started learning that I can do this on my own, and it gave me that drive and that will. We talk about the why we do things, why we wake up, go hard. That was just my why. And I used that to motivate myself to get through that tour. He was definitely a great guy, good business dude, just taught me a lot. Showed me my first of everything, my first time in Puerto Rican Day parades on the float, going down, performing that song with him the whole way down. First time in Miami was Calle Ocho, performing in front of 1 million people in Calle Ocho was with him.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the FilterLIFE Podcast. I'm your host, Dan Holmes, and today we have a very, very special guest with us, my good friend, Mr. David Rush. Welcome to the podcast and welcome to the show, my guy. How are you, man?
Hey, man, pleasure to be here. Thank you so much, bro. I'm doing well, man. How about yourself?
Man, I'm doing good. You feeling okay?
Yep, 100%, man. Feeling good. Another day above ground is always a good day, man. So happy to be here for sure.
Yeah, man, it's definitely a win, right? We talk about that.
100%.
David Rush is a platinum selling artist, singer, songwriter, motivational speaker, educator, and most importantly, kidney health advocate. Diagnosed with FSGS in 2006, David started dialysis in 2007 and became one of the early adopters of the home hemodialysis in 2009. In 2010, he received a kidney transplant from his brother, Dwayne Monster Haskell. While managing his health, David completed a 42-city world tour with Pitbull, Mr. 305 himself, on home dialysis, proving that life doesn't stop with kidney disease. Today, he's the CEO of Wins Only Network, host of the Wins Only podcast, and serves as a national kidney health boards, including the Northwestern Go Kidney, Kidney X, and the Kidney Health Initiative. His work earned him the ASN President's Medal in 2022 and an NAACP Spirit of the Community Award. David's mission to educate, advocate, and drive prevention so that fewer people face the battles he's conquered. His life philosophy is wins only. Every day is a win. David, man, that's powerful. You have a powerful background, man, and a portion of your background really fits into our podcast, the FilterLIFE Podcast. David, we talk so much. You and I met most recently at the Tampa Pig Jig. We were over there. You were able to perform on stage. I had the opportunity of welcoming you and introducing you on stage, man. That was amazing. That was definitely amazing. It was a great performance, man. And today I want to talk about how you were able to filter in and out the complexities of kidney disease with newly home dialysis technology on the road doing a musical tour. Talk to me a little bit about that.
First of all, thank you for having me on the show, man. I appreciate it anytime I get to have a platform to share my story and hopefully inspire and educate others, man. So definitely warm respect to you for what you're doing. And, like we did meet the first time there, but we spoke a little bit early before that. So I was excited to see you in person, meet the wife, you know what I'm saying? And so it was good energy, good vibes, man. So number one, I appreciate what you're doing and your personal fighters too. So I just want to make sure I give you your flowers as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, man, I think it all starts with what we talk about, man. It's a mindset, really, honestly. I think, at the beginning of kidney disease, whether you're crashing in or whether you're, just learning about it and progressing it slow and kind of having those what we call optimal starts where you kind of know what you're doing and get some information. Or if you're just crashing in like I did, where you kind of wake up on dialysis and then that journey kind of just starts for you. I think it all starts with the mind. It's something that we don't touch on enough as patients and in this diagnosis and what we go through. The mind is such a valuable part as far as just your mentality and your mindset and how you think and your support system, your next move, you being a veteran and thank you for your service. Your next move is always have to be calculated and push forward,
sure.
Right? You got to think about what you're going to do because it's life or death. And, not comparing kidney disease to war, but it's kind of our own internal war that we're going through where we have to think strategically for every next move we make because it could be vital to our health. So,
100%.
I look at it as a mindset build. And in the beginning, my mindset now is strong. My mindset wasn't in the beginning. I was in denial. I was scared. I was all those things that every patient is that learns that they have a chronic illness and starting this journey. But as I progressed and learned more and educated myself more, that began to get stronger. You know what I mean? And I
Yeah,
started to
yeah,
understand and like I
yeah.
could still have purpose here. The
You
music
talked
thing was
about
my
the
first love. Yeah, go ahead.
you talked about the denial. And that's a
Mm-hmm.
phase that we all, I think, go through. Whether you're young, whether you're old, I have people that are in their early 90s reach out to me that have been in
Mm-hmm.
denial, talking about, "Hey, I've just finally accepted this thing. Can we get on transplant?" I'm like, "You're 93 years old." You know what I
Right.
mean? That's gonna be
Right.
difficult. But when you're young and you have kidney disease and you're told you have this life changing thing, that maybe only you've heard of older people having. How was that denial phase? What did that look like for you
Yeah.
going through that?
I think it's just, believing that you're untouchable. I'm 16 years old and got told in 10th grade that there was issues with my kidneys or I had protein in my urine or, scarring on my tissues and all that. It meant nothing to me. I felt fine. I felt like I was in the best shape of my life. I was playing ball, squatting 500, deadlifting 350. I was throwing people off of me in high school. So it really wasn't, I didn't feel like I could be touched. I didn't like it was that young, we all had it, that young, cocky
Yeah.
athlete. And just felt like, this is a phase. I'll be fine. The doctor, just give me the medication. I'm sure I can get through it. People get sick, that whole mentality. And
Yeah.
I was also starting music at that time too. So it was just like I had this whole plan for myself already that I wasn't really letting anything kind of push me off of at all. Nobody, circumstance. Like I was very focused on what I was going to do. Football and music was going to get me rich. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that was
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
mentality. So,
Yeah.
as I push forward, you kind of like football, like sports, you kind of learn how to just run through things. And I think that mentality of me, being able to run through so much physically, I felt I could just run through this. And I think that's what kind of had my mental strong at that point was like, I can get through this. And I kind of take sports and stuff and revolve it to my mental thinking now, my competitiveness now, even with chronic illness of, yeah, running through it, but tactically, like I know I can get through this and I have to do this and do this to this to win, and that competitive drives me even through this state now, chronic illness. It just pushes me to like want to win, whether a win is just conquering that day, that minute, that second, it's still competitive. It's still a win for me. So that's how I pushed through it and got to that point. You talked about going on tour and all that.
Mm.
Just wasn't going to let nothing stop me, man, from getting to it. I already had let it take so
Yeah.
many things from me and had no control. And once I started learning that I can do this on my own and it gave me that drive and that will, we talk about the why we do things, why we wake up, go hard. That was just my why. And I used that to motivate myself to get through that tour. And I had great support, my brother, my friends, that were with me through the whole tour really helped and set up machines and learned the machine and helped me through treatment. So it wasn't just a David Rush thing. It was definitely a family thing for sure.
So we talk about how long did that phase of denial last for you?
It's still going on to this day. It's just in smaller increments.
Yeah.
In the
Yeah.
beginning, it was like, this is fine. This is nothing. I'll be done with this in a couple months to,
Yeah.
every day I wake up, I'm good. Maybe today I'll just skip today's treatment. I still get
Yeah.
those little hints of, I feel okay, I'm good. Even walking
Yeah.
around with no kidneys in my body. I don't have a kidney. I live on the machine, literally. I do treatment every other day for 3.5 hours at home. So it's not like I can just skip and be okay, but sometimes in my mind, I feel so good or, I feel so strong. I feel like I can get through it. I don't necessarily need anything that day or whatever, but I'm not
Yeah.
stupid. You know what I mean? Like I know
Yeah,
I
man.
need it,
Look, man, this
but
thing will put you back in your place quick because the
quick,
days that
real
you
quick.
feel good, you learn to enjoy those days because
Yeah.
they're not long lasted. And
Right.
some of the bad days, they drown out the sound of the good days. So,
Mm-hmm.
when we out there and we're exploring and we're just I used to wonder why people would just go for walks out in the middle of nowhere, old people. You just see them
Mm-hmm.
out walking. And you'd be like, because probably today's a good day and you don't know when
Yeah,
you're
they
gonna
feel
get your
good
next
today.
good day. So they
Yeah.
feel good
Yep.
today. So they're like, I'm just gonna go out there, man. I'm just gonna go out there and do that.
It's true.
You were diagnosed with kidney disease. You got to go on the machine. How did you get? Let's back up a little bit. How'd you get hooked up with Pitbull in the first place, Mr. Five himself? How'd you get hooked up
Man,
with them?
so, I started off my rap career. I wasn't even trying to be a performer, honestly. I was a battle rapper. Like I used to battle like in high school and outside. I used to go
Yeah,
to different counties and battle people for money and all that type of stuff because I could freestyle really good and I wasn't taking it serious. You know what I'm saying? Knew I could rap and did it for fun in the lunchroom and would battle people for money and lunch tickets and all that type
yeah.
of stuff. I
I
had my
love it.
cousin by the name of Bo. Bo was like one of the dudes that was serious about music. He would write all his raps down. He would record himself. His brother worked for MTV. This is my first cousin. And he had like a little recorder in his house. Back then it was like just tape to tape. And he had a mic recorder and like this boom box that did tape to tape and CD to tape. So he would record all these freestyles and stuff, and he would write them down. And I never used to write anything down. And so he was like, yo, you got to start writing your raps, and writing song format. And he taught me song format and taught me 16 bars, 8 bars, and, all this stuff that he was teaching me. After I started writing songs with him, I started writing full songs and stuff, and then, just picked up that trait as well. But I actually was
Was
it
it a
was
lot
actually
harder
when
when you went to like freestyle to writing? Because it's different, right?
it slowed me
Isn't it a
down.
little different? It slow you down.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
like
heard
to go. I just like to go, like,
that.
seat of my pants. That's been my lifestyle forever. Hence the name David Rush. Like I've always been, I just go.
Boom.
But
Yep.
I think the thing that happened for me that got me to Pitbull, I wrote a song. I was in Atlanta. I was in school in college. And I met a dude by the name of Kenneth Kobe. His name is Kobe, and we call him Sounds. Sounds' name now is B&W Kenny because he's a producer artist. Sounds at the time, and DJ Danny. I had met this dude through him, and we started going to his crib recording all these songs. So I was in Jersey back again. He was in Atlanta after I came back from college, and I was like, yo, I'm coming down to just record my album, just to work on some music. And he was just one of the producers I trusted. So I drove down to Atlanta. I was sleeping in my truck. I was just like hustling, grinding, trying to get this thing going. I would like pay him as much as I could to record. His parents loved me, so they would let me record for free sometimes. And we came up with this song called Go Girl, me, him, and my dog, Filthy Rich. And it was just a new sound. I think AO Technology just came out with 50 Cent, Justin Timberlake, that whole like futuristic sound. And so we did this thing called Go Girl. So I knew it was like, wouldn't work in Atlanta because Atlanta was crunk at that time, super crunk.
Yeah.
But I knew it could work at home in Jersey, like on the East Coast, New York club scene.
New
So
York, up north a little bit. Yeah.
I burned about 200 CDs, and my CDs were still popping. And I drove back to New Jersey, and I started showing up at the club and handing them out outside the club. I wouldn't go in the club. I would go and hand it out outside at the end of the club night when cars were leaving the parking lot. I would hand them a CD and say, yo, listen to this.
Play
If you
this.
like it, bump it. If you don't like it, throw the CD out the window. Like, and let me see you do it. Like, I want to know it's bad. And then that led to people requesting the song in the club when I was outside.
Okay.
And I didn't want to go in the club until they requested me in the club. Like that's
In the
was my
club.
mentality. So they started requesting me in the club. I started performing the record everywhere. It got onto a mixtape. DJ Danny S out of Washington Heights, New York City. Dominican DJ. He was really cool with Pitt. Pitt would always stop in Washington Heights when he came to New York. That was just his spot.
Yeah.
And DJ Danny S gave him his mixtape, and I think I was on the tape. So the story I heard, it was Pitt, DJ Buddha, and I think Little John was on the tour bus. They were playing DJ Danny S's mixtape, and my song Go Girl comes on. And Pitt stops and goes, what's this? And everybody looks at the CD. They see my name. My name back then was Young Boss. And so he sees my name. He brings the track back, gets in touch with Danny S, asks who I was. Danny S gets in touch with me. I end up meeting Pitt at this hotel in New York City. Then he flies me out to Miami to hear some of my more music with him and DJ Laz. I play him my whole catalog, and then I end up signing to him a production deal.
Ooh.
And he ends up buying Go Girl from me, putting Trina on it, leaving me on it. And that was my first like placement, I guess you could say. And from there, he just did business together. And he was definitely a great guy, good business dude, just taught me a lot. Showed me my first of everything. My first time in Puerto Rican Day Parades on the float, going down, performing that song with him the whole way down. First time in Miami was Calle Ocho, performing in front of 1 million people in Calle Ocho was with him. First tour. So, he's just showed me a lot when it came to that, and showed me how to be myself on the road and touring and using my voice the right way and just little stuff like that. So definitely was a great time in my life.
What was the conversation like when we had to make the conversation of, man, I got to go on dialysis and I want to do this on tour? Was it something you had to ask of him, or was this something that he kind of came to you, was like, David, we doing this?
I didn't tell him about dialysis at first. I was kind of scared. And, I was doing in-center, and I was doing Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 6 a.m. to 11 a.m. was my time. And I remember I used to fly out after schedule myself to do treatment Friday morning, fly out to Miami Friday night and record all weekend. Because when you did in-center, you get 2 days off. You get Saturday and Sunday off. So I would fly out Friday night, record Friday night, record all day Saturday, record Sunday, fly home as late as I can on Sunday to be at treatment Monday morning. And I was doing that for a while, working on the album. And then he asked me to come out in the middle of the week. And I was like, I can't. He was like, why? You know what I'm saying? And I just like,
Yeah.
and I was like, I had to tell him, you know, and I thought it was going to be the end of my career.
And
But he was like,
he had never known this about you before.
no, he didn't know I was sick. You know, just because I never showed it. And I just, at that time, you know, in music, it was this macho thing about being a rapper,
Yeah.
you know, or being, you
Yeah.
didn't want nobody knowing your faults for real. It wasn't as
It was too
vulnerable
much
as it is now.
Yeah, the vulnerabilities
Yeah, like it
wasn't really
wasn't
out there. You
big.
had to be a Casey and JoJo to go ahead and put out some
Yeah, you had to be an
vulnerabilities.
R&B singer to cry a little bit, you know what I'm saying? And even though I was like a pop rapper, popish, I still didn't want anybody knowing my business. I still wanted to be considered, you know, I just want people to respect me for who I was, not to test me in the streets, you know, that whole thing.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, that makes sense.
But when I told him, he was kind of like, man, he was kind of more blown away the fact that I was still making this run, you know, and still doing everything. When he asked me about the tour, I was literally in dialysis the day he told me about the tour in 2009. And I remember like agreeing to this tour before I even knew how I was going to do it. I remember my nurses and everybody like, how you going to do this? And I was like, I don't know, we'll figure it out. And that's when I found
Mindset.
home dialysis.
That's
Like,
mindset
how I
right there,
found it.
man. Like, I
Yep,
don't know. We're
that
going
was
to
it.
figure it out, man. I have no
We're gonna figure
clue
it out.
what's on the other side of this, man, but we're going to figure this out. I love
That's
that
exactly how I
attitude, man.
thought. That's exactly how I thought. I really did not know. I didn't know what home dialysis was. I didn't know it was an option for me. Funny enough, now as an educator now, I educate on different modality choices for patients to know. But back then, there wasn't no one in my position that had a job that did KCO education. There was nobody that did that. So, you know, now, you know, back then, no one was telling me about this option. And if they did, they didn't trust it enough. It was too new, you know, for them to say anything. So I understood. And once I started home dialysis, I studied it for 6 weeks, and coming home with the machine, starting treatment at home. And maybe about 2, 3 months later, with the help of the company and, you know, learning routes and all that type of stuff, we took that machine on the whole tour. It was definitely an adventure, man. It wasn't all smooth
Now, the
sailing,
machine's
but
not small and all the
nah,
things that go with it, because I've never been on it myself. I've never been on dialysis myself, but I've
right.
seen and talked to people, and they talk about this U-Haul machine, this U-Haul that shows up at their house and drops off. There's a whole bunch of stuff, right? So
Material,
how
yep.
do you take all that stuff with you city to city to city and then like pack it
Yeah.
up and unpack it? Like, what's that like?
It was crazy. So we started the tour in California. I was living in Jersey at the time. So my machine, the machine at that time was called the Next Stage machine. It was 75 pounds on its own, the size of a microwave. When you put it into the metal sheeting case to travel with it, it came 100 pounds. And then you had to take your saline, your needles, you know, all your tape and gauzes and, you know, heparin and all these things you need. And then they'll schedule where you know where you're going, and you schedule for your cartridges and all the little other knickknacks you need to hook up the bags. The dialysate are these big old bags that you can't
Yeah.
travel with, obviously. So they have to send those things to an address that you give them. So we had it sent to the hotel we were staying at in LA a day prior to us flying into LA. And I had to bring all the other things like the saline, the gauzes, all those stuff in a big kind of army bag. My cousin was in the military, so I had one of those big duffel joints that
Big
I
old
packed up with all the
big
stuff.
old sea bag.
Yeah. I packed all that stuff in this big old army bag, man. And we flew with that and the machine over to, now mind you, at this time, that machine didn't have anything. They thought it was illegal to fly with. You had to like explain yourself because it's 100-pound machines. Because it's medical, it's free. So, but they didn't have the information to give that to them at that time. I was like one of the first people to do this much traveling with this machine. So it flew over to LA. We had everything sent over there. So it got there, and then we had a 15-passenger van, and we would just load up with all my equipment, all our bags. Because remember, we were on tour for a whole 40 days. So imagine the amount of clothes we had. And it was 6 of us: me, my brother Monster, my boy Block, Nolo, DJ El Nino, my boy DR. And we all met in LA. And from there, the adventure started, man. I mean, it was the craziest run ever from LA all the way back to New York. But we made it happen, man. But it definitely was a wild run. But we did it.
Man.
And that kind of showed me I
So
could do anything. You know what I mean?
you shouldn't. So knowing now what we know, or knowing then what we know now, we should have called that tour the Filter Life tour, because what you did and what you just explained is the life that we live. That's the filter life, right? It's like salt life. You know, I live by the beach, and we see the salt life stuff everywhere. It's on the surfboards. It's on, but them guys, man, they got to go out with their wetsuit, their booties. They got to get their salt board or their surfboard wax. They got to have the right perfect wax. They got to have all this stuff. You know what I mean? Like the prep, the pre, the surf, and then the after surf. You got to get the stuff to wash all the sand off your feet and wash down
Yeah.
your wetsuit. So same thing with kidney disease, man. We live a filter life, and we have to, like you said, we got to bring the bags. We got to mail this to a specific address, which tells us logistically, we got to know like where we're going. We got to plan this route out, and it
Right.
can be dangerous because if you miss a treatment, did you miss any treatments, or where anything go wrong where you were like, man,
Yeah,
like,
definitely, man. It's, just there's times where, I'll be exhausted and, miss a day and or fall asleep on the machine and go overtime, like treating longer than usual because I'm knocked out,
yeah,
or fall asleep holding my sights and, bleeding out before my time and
blood everywhere. Yeah,
blood everywhere. Like, I mean, we've left poles, left hanging bags, left, pieces of equipment in different hotels in different states that we left already. And like, like there's stuff scattered all over the world that I'm sure, like
yeah.
leaving saline bags stuff that we can't take. We have to like leave there in the hotels. And, it was an adventure, but, thank God and for, communication, just talking to these different facilities and them helping us out when we left something, being able to stop in this state and pick something up from here and go back
Was
and
it
have
easy
someone
to
from.
coordinate, or was it hard?
No,
Like you had to pick
no,
up the
it was.
phone. Was it you picking up the phone, or you had somebody helping you? Or was it all six of y'all was like, yo, we working this? Everybody had a
So
different angle.
this is where the name Monster came in for my brother. My brother's a very organized person, nice, chaotic person. Like my brother, he was a correction officer in the past. He was he played ball. He just has this organized, very clean, organized person. You would think he was like military for real, like the way he keeps his things. So that like almost like ADHD, not ADHD, what's the word I'm
OCD.
looking for? OCD kicked in. So
Yeah.
routing and like he one that kept our receipts for the hotels and gas and like
Boom.
different
Wow.
envelopes and like, so, the money, I trusted him with the money. He knew because what we were getting paid is pennies. People think like tour life, like you getting rich. That's a lie. So especially when you're not the guy, when you're the
When
opening
you're not
act,
the
like
guy. Yeah.
you're not getting that. But I didn't feel taking all my boys away from their family for a month and a half. I should be getting paid more than everybody. Everybody's sacrificing. So I just split my money down the middle. So I'm gonna be candid. I was supposed to make $500 a show, but I didn't feel that that was fair for me to make 500 for you to make 100 or 150. You know what I mean? So I split it down the middle, six of us, and split 500 down the middle. So everybody kind of walked away with whatever that was, math wise.
Yeah.
Everybody got the same
Everybody got a
portion to
little
live
something.
off of
Yeah.
that day. And then we would pocket the rest for hotels and gas and food and all that type of stuff. So it was a broke tour, but
Yeah.
it was the best times of our lives. You know what I'm saying? Like we had a great time. And I just think, we had a lot of mishaps and stuff happen, but it just taught me like, damn, man, there's no way that I can ever say that I can't do something ever again. There's no way that I can't make things happen. I lived
Yeah.
out my dream with my disaster at the same time.
With the disaster. Yeah.
What I'm
Like
saying?
damn near on your
Yeah.
back, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard. I see a lot of people on social media and all these different places, and they're always asking the questions, you know what I mean? Like, can I go on a cruise and can I travel and can I do this and how do I do that if I'm on dialysis? And like life changes, right? And there's different ways that depending on your particular needs, because kidney disease is not the same for everybody. And depending on your particular needs, what you need to either bring with you, what you need, like you said, how much water you taking off and all this different stuff is customized to you. So the
Yeah.
way that you organize that filter life and the way that you filter in what's important and filter out what's not important is unique to each and everybody. Now, how did
Right.
you switch from patient mode, squirting blood all over the broom, to like, okay, whoop, we gotta go out on stage and we gotta get this done, regardless
Right.
of how tired you feel? I know
Yeah.
just going to the mailbox, I get exhausted, let alone 42 city tour. How did you filter that side of it out and turn on the David Rush that the audience needed?
I think it's funny because when you do music or any type of art, it's really just an amplified version of who you are already. A lot of people you see, a lot of artists I know that you see on stage and all that stuff, they're really either like really shy people and really like preserve people outside of that, man, introverts, you know what I'm saying? Like I know a lot of
Yeah. Yeah.
outrovert people that's really on stage and could do all that. And then after that, you kind of don't even hear from them no more. But like me, my life, the type of person I am that you meet is also reflected in the type of artist I am. So it really was never an off switch for me. Like I never had to
Okay.
turn nothing on. The way I am as a person naturally into my calm state, like now, like I'm chilling right now. But in any moment, like if we do, like I could just go right into something else. And I think that's just something that I was blessed with. Like, you know, like, I don't know, like I never have to really turn anything on or have to mentally be like, all
Okay.
right, make sure you got to turn on. Like, I don't feel like that. I just feel like because they're all connected is like one person. Like the person
I
that
like that.
speaks at a
Yeah.
keynote in front of officials and physicians and patients is the same person that's in front of 20,000 people
Yeah.
in Red Rock in Colorado. You know, like it's the same person. So, you know, like you were there at Pig Jig. I didn't get to do nothing on the big stage, but you saw me talk in the private area and then you saw me talk in front of 20,000. And I don't know, you tell me, was there like a difference in the
There's
energy
no
or was
difference. Nah.
that's what I'm, yeah, it was just the
Yeah.
same vibe. So like, I just keep that even kill of just on this, I think, because that's how I really am as a person. Like I really live like that every day. And like that, and since a kid, I was like that as a kid. I was always high energy as a kid. You know, dialysis does slow you down. So mentally for me, man, the excitement of what I was about to do while doing treatment kept me
Kept you going.
ready to go.
Kind of
So if
kept
I
you
get into
going.
the next city and I'm treating and I'm like, yo, I'm about to get on stage in another 2 hours, bro. I'm about to be on stage, like, you know, in front of 10,000 people. Like that's building me up sitting
Yeah.
there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's no
Yeah. I
way
like that. Yeah.
you know what I mean? There ain't no energy dropping.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm
Yeah.
about to turn
I
up.
love it. I love it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's a little different for me because I've never like I haven't been in the public my whole life. You know what I mean? And
Right.
I'm fairly new to the public world and public speaking and getting on stage and having these conversations in front of thousands of people. But you're right. There is really no turn on, turn off. It's either prepared or not. And however well prepared you are, it's just going to come out.
Right.
But like my job in the military, right? We would go, whether you go on deployment and come back, there was a big turn on, turn off. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, because the military, as much of that's instilled inside of you, it's not who you are because you don't
Right.
really get to express who you are in the military, right?
Right.
So you gotta turn that off and then try and figure out a way to turn you back on.
Right.
Well, learning how to turn me back on and then me change from former special operations guy to broken kidney dude. You know what I'm saying? And it was like, so now I have to kind of like, how do I turn on broken kidney dude, but turn off broken kidney dude to go out here and do other things? And it was like broken kidney dude and other things are gonna have to become one.
You have to.
And that
It has
was
to bring the other
yeah.
one will bring the other one out. Like, and again, it goes back to mindset. Like if
Yeah.
I don't want to die here. So something on me has to turn on.
Yeah.
And that's what my mentality was. Now, did I think I was going to die when I first woke up on treatment? Yeah, of course. I thought this is it. You know, like I'm out of here, man. I'm not seeing myself getting past this. You know what I mean? And like,
Yeah.
I ain't
Yeah.
even do nothing for real in my life. Like, so like I was mad disappointed in myself, like sitting there. I was just so disappointed in what my life was and I didn't do nothing. And, you know, I'm about to die before I even hit any benchmark that I wanted. And so I think that's what has pushed me in this point of my life to where I always say in my talks, you know, leave a mark, leave your mark. And I make a joke that I'm a kid. I touch everything. I'm touching everything before I get up out of here. Like my fingerprint's gonna be on there. You gonna be
All
mad at me or you gonna love me? I'm touching everything
Yep.
in here.
I love
So
it. Yep.
on my way out, my hand's just like that little kid walking past the mirror. Just I'm smearing. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
you gonna
Yeah.
know.
Don't touch the glass. Don't touch the glass, David.
Yeah, no, I'm touching it. Yep, I'm touching it. I'm licking it. I'm all over that thing. Like
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
gonna know I was here, and it's not for me though. I look at it for a legacy for my children. So me leaving a mark is not because to say, oh, yo, David Rush, man, he was here, bro. Nah, it's for when my kids walk past. Oh,
Yeah.
my dad was here. Oh, my dad was here. And then so when people see them, like, yo, you know your dad, blah, blah, blah. Hey, yo, your dad used to blah, 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 blah. So that way they're always like, okay, like my dad was here. I want people to see my children and say, oh, that's David Rush, because we make sure we take care of them. Or that's David Rush's wife. Let me make sure she
Yeah.
has what, like
What she needs.
it's
Yeah.
it's it's no longer about, oh, David Rush was here. Yeah, I was in the building. David Rush was here. How can I take care of my family when I'm not here? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when I tell people leave they mark, it's not necessary for you, for yourself. You know what I mean? It's for something way
Yep.
bigger than me, which is my
It's bigger
family
than
is the
you.
biggest thing to me.
I
So
love that.
that's what it means to me.
Being part of something bigger than yourself is huge, man. And I think us as humans, we always try and we find that. We try and search for that. I know I did when I was looking for the military. I was trying to look for something to be bigger than myself and be a part of something bigger than myself. And
Yeah.
I found that when I was in disease, sitting in the hospital bed, trying to figure out how I'm going to die next. you
Mm.
know,
Yeah.
how do I become big? How do I be a part of something bigger than myself? So when I realized that my kidneys aren't going to kill me today, so what else can I do today to be part of something bigger than myself? And find an organization really helped me. Reaching out and finding people who have this disease, having friends like you, people who've had experiences that can go and tell you, man, like, look, like, life's not over, man. We can pivot, and we can
Hmm.
adjust what we're doing, and we can merge this kidney disease aspect of our lives into who we are. And you did a really good job at that, man. You went from recording music every day and going on tour, right, to this for high speed, to creating your own brand and going out and doing motivational speaking and educating people on kidney disease awareness, and in the education on early detection, and what transplant may look like and dialysis looks like, and just giving
Right.
people hope. Talk to me a little bit about how this wins only
Hmm.
came about and when that came about for you.
Wins Only came about in 2012, I want to say. Mom passed away on November 18th, right? And I remember being with her, and I tell this story all the time. She was 55 years old, right? And she had autoimmune of the liver. Nothing she did wrong. It was just, something that happened to her. And her sister had died of the same thing 6 years prior. And so she was young too. And being with my mom, watching her transition, she was on Facebook maybe about 3 days before she passed away. Now, my son was 1, my daughter was 3 months, and that's all they got of my mom, right? So she was in her deathbed, bro, 3 days before, and she wrote on Facebook, "Thank you all for the love and support and prayers, but I know in the end I'm going to win," right? And that comes from a gospel song that goes, "Don't wait till the battle's over, shout now, because I know in the end we're going to win." It's like a song our choir used to sing in church or whatever. And so she quoted that on her Facebook. And this was like 2, 3 days before she was dying. She died. So in that moment, for a woman to be on her deathbed and call herself a winner was like mind blowing for me. So wins only really started that day. That was the day that my mentality went from woe is me or why me or whatever to never losing ever again in my life. And I don't know what it is. I don't lose. I don't know what I spell it. I don't hang with losers. I don't lose, bro. I just don't.
I
I
love it.
refuse to lose. I don't lose. No, I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about. I can't lose. I cannot lose ever again in my life. So that
So,
day,
yeah,
wins only.
that's
And
it.
that was it. That's it. Wins only. And winning, when I say winning, it's not like, oh, I won a game. It's winning is like, oh, I woke up, I'm breathing, winning. I'm moving, I'm winning. My kid's up, I'm winning. My wife woke up, I'm winning. We got
Yeah,
food, gas, lights, house, winning, winning, winning. Somebody here cutting my lawn right now, winning.
winning.
You know
You
what I
ain't out there
mean?
doing
You know
it.
what I'm saying? So like, that mentality for me is what I push to everybody. I don't keep it. I don't gatekeep it. You know what I'm saying? Like I want
I love it.
everybody to live like that. So that's
As
where
they
wins only
should. I
came
mean,
from.
I
Yeah.
love that. I love that. And it tribute back to your mom. And I was listening to your podcast the other day. I think it was one of your Christmas specials or something. And you were talking about how you find yourself going back to your parents' Facebook pages and stuff and kind of reliving those events through them. And I haven't lost a parent
Mm-hmm.
yet, but it's life, man. And that happens to
Mm-hmm.
everybody, I think.
Yeah.
Usually, we all come and go from here. And it's just a matter of when, you know what I mean?
Yep.
So my condolences to you, man, because
Thank you,
that
man.
can be really, really hard to deal with, losing somebody that's so special to you in your life. And then, take something from that and take a win from that
Right.
and be able to just read that and go, new life mantra right here.
Mm-hmm. That
It
was
gave you
it,
life. It gave you
It
life.
gave
That
me
gave you some
life.
more life. I love
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Not for sure. Losing people
That's
is hard.
amazing.
Lost my mom, lost my dad, in 21 to COVID. Prior to that, I lost my sister. My aunt died last year on the same day as my mom's anniversary dying. Same day. Her oldest sister died my mom was the youngest. Her oldest sister died on the same day she died, November 18th in 2024. So I've witnessed a lot of death in my family in my life, lost a lot of less significant people. And, again, for me, I value my time with everybody, you know what I'm saying? And I don't waste it. So like, I don't have any regrets with any of those people in my life, because I spent optimum time with all of them and was able to connect with
Yeah.
all of them in a way that I can carry on forever. Part that sucks though is that my kids don't get to get that. My mom don't get to get my dad as long as I got to get him.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so for me, luckily I have my mother-in-law still, who's like a mom to me. My wife's mom, who I've known all my life and has been with me through all my life too. So my kids get her. I value that. And there's aunts and uncles and friends that they get to see, but nothing like having grandparents. You
No.
pull over. So as a parent, I try to double duty. And be there for everything, as much as I can within my travels and all that type of stuff. And, unless I sit there and think about it, man, my life, I don't think about my life being a patient. I think of my
Yeah.
life just being a dude that's just part of my life. It's just part of it. And I just try to treat it as such, man, and just try to keep a good attitude about it. Is it easy? No. Is there people I expect everybody to be like that? I don't. All I can do is show my side of it, and hopefully they pull something from it, and, it helps them. That's it.
100%. Look, your story motivates me. I mean, just your positivity, the way that goes through. I mean, I think of myself as a positive guy myself. I try,
Hmm.
but I got war in me, my guy.
Yeah, I get it.
You know what I mean? I got
I
war in me,
get it.
man, and it is, and
Yeah,
that side of you, tries to beat up the other side all the time. So it's this internal
yeah,
war that we have when you're a diseased veteran. And
right.
know that your disease came from being a veteran. And
Mm,
that's just one of them things where it's like, look, man, there's no regrets. I go down in that burning ship and grab them 4 guys again. Even if I knew
mhm,
what was gonna happen to me, I'd do it again.
right,
So not living with regrets and making sure the time that you spend with people is intentional.
right.
The things that, when we spend time on our health, thinking about ourselves, it's got to be intentional,
Mhm,
because we're used to having mom, dad, parent, whoever, guardian trying to take up that space for us and think about us for ourselves. But when those people are no longer there, well, now it's like, Dave's got to find his own support system.
mhm,
You got to go find your own support system. And what does that look like? And what's that going to look like when, today? And what's that look like tomorrow? What's that look like 10 years down the road? So finding support is huge, having support, filtering in the ones that can support you where you're at, and filtering out the noise is
right.
okay. Some people feel like they
Yeah,
got to hold on to stuff. Got to hold on to this, man. Or I used to be this, or I used to do this for so long, and I can't let that go. And it's like, we have different chapters, we have different chapters. So, man, David, I appreciate you being with us today, man. I really, really honor our conversation, man. Talking about the ways that we filter life, man. When I think about this podcast and I think about what I want this to look like in the future, man, and it's win only comes to my mind,
mhm,
and the way that we filter our lives, stories like yourself and what you've been through, and the guys and the support system, them guys that were with you that took that on and said, you know what, man, we're going to do this together. It's a broke tour. We're not getting rich off this, but we just going to do this
mhm.
together because it's a memory, right?
Yep, yep,
And
yep.
did you ever feel like you were a burden on them at all?
Yeah, I feel like I'm a burden on everybody, even to this day. I still get upset to this day when, I wanna take my family on vacation, and I know that 50% of the vacation is gonna be spent me trying to find a facility to do treatment. can't just get on a plane and we can't just leave, despite, having the dogs and that being the reason why you can't just leave. But, just being able to get there and not be able to worry about treatment or have to worry about, man, we're going to eat this day because daddy's going to be tired after treatment or whatever the case is. Like, that frustrates me. Because you can imagine,
Yeah.
I still get, I see pictures of my friends who, they just, they spontaneous trip to wherever and they out chilling 2-3 days and enjoying themselves. And I love that for them. You know what I mean? But then I look at myself and I'm like, man, I can't do that. You know, and like, sometimes I feel like, man, like am I burdening my kids and like not letting my family get the life that they're supposed to have or whatever the case is. And it upsets me sometimes, you know what I mean? And people say, oh, why don't you just get a transplant? I wish it was just that easy. I wish it was that easy to just go get a transplant. There's a lot of steps. There's a lot of steps to that. There's a lot of mental steps to that. There's a lot of, if you've been in many surgeries I've had being cut open all the time, it's like, it ain't fun. And then you hear stories of your friends who go get a transplant and don't make it out, or kidney stops working on the table, or they're back on dialysis within 30 days. That mental trauma right there that I've been through and seen them go through it is enough for me to kind of be like, maybe I'm not ready right now. And I've pushed it to the back a lot of times. I kept pushing it back and I still push it back a lot. But I finally got to the point where I'm like, my kids are getting older. High school is here. Son's going in 10th grade, daughter's in the 9th. They just got accepted to this, this college preparatory private school out here. And things about to be, they're in sports and, there's a lot come down the pipeline and I need to be able to be there for it all. So in my mind, I know I need to get a transplant. You know what I'm saying? Just to give more yeses than nos, really. So that's what I'm preparing for. And, I just tell everybody who's going through that, it's okay to say, I'm not ready. And it's okay to take a minute. It's okay to do it on your time. It's okay to make those decisions for yourself. I mean, that's what rights are for. You know what I mean? So I'm expressing that to them and just trying to move forward the best as I can and keep a positive outlook on it and know that everybody's life ain't mine. And my mountain is my mountain. And, I climb it at my own pace. And hopefully when I get to the top, I'll be healthy and happy and be able to have this conversation down the line. Like, hey, man, I remember I was scared to get this transplant, but now I got it and it's been 20 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's the key for me. That's the goal or whatever God gives me with it, But I had one for 7 for my brother, and that was a great time. Been on treatment ever since 2018 again, but if it comes again, man, great, and I'll take it with open arms and I'll treat it like gold. But if it doesn't, I'll continue to fight this fight until I can't, and that's what it is, man, for sure.
Man, I've been dealing with burden myself and just trying to understand what that means and what that looks like to me.
Mm, mm,
Because my kidneys are not that bad, to be honest with you. You know what I
mm,
mean? Like my kidney function is pretty good. The experimental trials and the medications and things that I've been on have really helped. But to that point, the medications and experimental medications that I've been on have caused other ailments, comorbidities that make it difficult for my mobility and to move around and cause a lot of
mm,
neuropathy and these kind of things.
mm,
So yeah, vacation. I'm not looking for a dialysis center. I'm looking for I can only sit for 5 minutes or 10 minutes. I can only walk for 10 minutes at a time. I can't walk on
mm,
concrete for very long. I can't where's my walker? How long do I have to stand? Can I stretch? Is there a hot tub? Is there a cold
mm.
tub? Is there so these things that is like, okay, well, I know we want to just go on vacation, but now I gotta
Gotta
slow that
prep.
vacation down. I gotta prep all
Mm-hmm.
this vacation because I know we're not gonna be able to do all the running gunning that we want because I'm not gonna be able to keep up.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
you make sure that you have a positive support system around you. My wife, my son, they're my support system. My family's my support system. They support everything that we have to do. And we
Yep.
tailor our vacations. You know what I mean? We tailor them so
Mm-hmm.
that way they're enjoyable. Nobody wants to go on vacation with me being sick and everybody else trying to wait for dad to stop being sick. You know what I'm saying? It's like
Yeah.
having those conversations. But yet, I think about these things for caregivers because I recently had a situation where I was talking to a family, and the one guy's got kidney disease, man, and he knows it's getting emergent, and he doesn't really want to do a lot about it, but he still wants because
Right.
we're going on this trip and we're traveling and we're going across the country, and I don't want to
Yeah. Word.
ruin that, and I think I feel fine, and and I was like, okay, well, when you're 220 pounds drops on the pavement, the little lady that's got to walk with is she gonna be able to pick you up and like
Mm-hmm.
drag you to the hospital and do all the so taking into consideration as a patient the experience of the caregiver,
Yep.
right? Am
100%.
I healthy enough to make this trek across the country? I don't want to pass out in line waiting for an airplane ticket because I already knew Monday that I had some swelling or I had this or I had some pain. And, now come Thursday, you at the airport. Like, we probably should have made some better decisions early on so that way the people with you don't have to suffer that as much. If we would have just
Right.
paid a little bit more attention to our own health, maybe Monday, maybe we would have postponed this trip or took steps to that way we weren't as risky. Maybe that's go to the hospital and have the doctors check you out and say, you're good to travel.
Yeah.
Those
I had to
those
do
kind of
that
things,
too.
man.
Yeah. I had to do that before my dad's funeral. I had some high blood counts and they didn't think it was smart for me to leave. And I was just like, bro, there's no way I'm missing my dad's funeral. But then I also understood the severity of if I did go, and what could happen to me there.
If you at the
But
funeral
luckily,
and now you interrupt the
yeah.
whole funeral
Now
because you over here,
because
because I ain't
now I'm
prepared.
passing out and all that type of stuff. So, like obviously, worked itself out and I was able to go, because it was a miscue on the blood draw. But, like that, caregivers, like, my wife we've been together since high school and she was here before. She's part of the reason I found my disease. She was working internal medicine and took my blood work, and that's how I found my creatinine had shot up and my EGFR was low and all that because I went there to go to her job. So, I mean,
Wow.
she's seen it from day zero, and my kids being 14 and 13, that's all they've known their entire life is daddy on dialysis or daddy in treatment or daddy being a patient. So, support system is major. I have a whole family, but it's those key people who are in your life who see you at your worst and see you at your best, and seeing my wife see me on my deathbed and see me come up out of it, and you think burden, but what I've noticed is that voice in your head is gonna always be louder to you. My burden voice in my head that I have that sits back here is super loud. It's loud to me, but it's me saying it. It's not no one else. My wife's never not once looked at me and said, "Oh, I can't take this no more." My kid never not once have said, "Daddy, you're slowing us up." Never not one time. My kids don't even like go nowhere. If I can't go, they're like, "Oh, I guess we ain't going." Like that's just how they are. And of course, to me, I'm like, "No, no, no, we're gonna make it happen." They're like, "Dad, if you can't go, we just can't go." Like, and luckily they understand that. But of course, as a dad, as a, human, you're like, no, 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 we gotta make this happen. And, yeah, like, so I do push myself sometimes, but at the end of the day, like I'm blessed to have a family that does understand. It's what they know, maybe a little spoiled that things could be worse and I'm not in a position where I may not look sick or act sick all the time or whatever, but they know what's going on with me. And when I do have my days, they get it, oh, daddy needs a break. You know what I mean? Like, we've
Yeah,
been
man.
going hard.
I had a
So,
clock out day, bro.
yeah, there's clock out days for sure. Like, where I'm like, yo, today, we ain't doing nothing. Like, you know what I mean? Figure it out. You know what I'm saying? And so, because, all week is sports, taekwondo,
Yeah.
softball, dance.
I
Like,
coached
we do it.
my son in high school from 5 years old. He played
Me too.
football at a high
Yeah.
level for 5 years old, all the way through. Then went to high school. Now, I was diagnosed in 2020, which means he was in 8th grade, but he was prepping for high school football. So he was getting ready to go into high school. Now, I coached at that school. So I coached. He was going to be an incoming freshman. I coached 9th, 10th, you know what I'm saying? I coached at the high school. So I was excited to have him come through and all this, and he was going to be on the team and just having that relationship, but then to get this curveball thrown in the middle of it. And it was like, will I be there to see any of this actually? Like
Right, for sure.
that was real difficult to like have to try and process at that time. It was just timing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like when I think about my time before kidney disease, it was preparing for this evolution of high school sports and being his coach and all that kind of stuff. And then it was like, now you're a patient, and,
Yeah.
and wifey's a caregiver, and you guys never really planned for this. So what does this look like? So
Yeah. It's
taking on
new.
new roles, man, taking on new
It's
roles,
new
but
everybody. Yeah, new everybody. I coach softball team for my daughter. I'm an assistant coach at a taekwondo sparring team. I coached basketball this past season. It's just like I thrust myself into these things because of the don't know, and because of the situation. Will I be able to do this next year? Will I be able to do this in 2
yeah.
years? So like I have my wife, you need to sit down. Like I'll sit down for a minute, but I'm right back at it. I don't feel that time. Time is the biggest thing for me. So it's like, I don't want to waste any time saying I can't do this right now. I know when to sit down. I know when to chill. I know when to give my body a break. So I do that.
How long did it
But
take you to learn that?
to give myself time, when I ran
And to learn
myself,
to be able, that it was okay to give yourself that time.
when I ran myself into a hole and ended up sick in the hospital, and it's because I wasn't giving myself time. I was just trying to run so hard. You know, that's when I thought I was going to die in the next year. So I just decided to I just floored it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I wasn't doing nothing wrong to myself. Like I wasn't doing drugs or drinking or nothing. I was just working and like hustling any opportunity. I was out of the state. I was just moving around and just wasn't taking care of my body. I wasn't sleeping right, wasn't eating right. Then once I decided I stopped eating meat and I started like really focusing on my life for real, like, yo, you want to be around, dog. You got to do certain things. Still have fun, but you got to do certain things a little differently.
We got to do some
And
things a little
that's
bit
just,
differently.
yeah, that's just where I'm at, man. And so now my life has slowed down tremendously from the past, but I take every facet of my life that I had to complete where I am now. I've took pieces of the music life. I've took pieces of football. I've took pieces of figuring it out, pre-kids, pre-marriage, to now 2 teenagers, 26 years together with my wife, to now speaking and working in these big companies and dealing with CEOs and all that type of stuff. Now I'm over on this side of the world, corporate life. So it's like all those facets of my life that I never thought were possible at all. Never, this is not where I planned. This was not on my bingo card to be doing. I'm gonna be a advocate. This was not on my card, bro, at all. I ain't gonna sit here and act like, yeah, this is what I planned. This is not what I planned at all. But this is what God had for me. And when I realized that, I had to step into purpose, and I let go of the wheel a little bit and stop trying to drive my own boat. Life changed, you know, and things opened up and things got clearer for me. And now I just try to portray that to my kids and, you know, and to people I come in contact with, like, yo, sorry to not know what you're doing right now, but eventually, man, something's going to knock you upside the head and you have to figure it out.
Come up with a plan.
That's
Have a
it.
plan, man. Have a
That's
plan,
right.
man.
'Cause it's never what you want, bro. It's always what you need. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's never what you want, so it's what you need.
Facts.
So
Well,
I
let me
just
ask
put
you
that
this.
out there for everybody.
I ask all of our guests, man, and it's the name of our podcast, man. What does the word filter life and living a filter life mean to David Rush?
I think what filter life can mean for me, finding that peace in the storm, man. I'm really big on peace and purpose, right? It's accepting everything that comes in and distributing out the things that you need. I feel like, all right, this is my analogy, right? You have this box when you start your life that's empty. And as a kid, and as you start to grow, you start to fill this box up with just stuff, things you like, things you want, things you see, things that don't even work. You just throw them in this box because you have all this room and you fill this box up. Then you meet somebody, right? And they need your help. They need to put some things in your box. You're like, dang, I got to give up some stuff in my box to put your stuff in my box, right? Your wife or whatever that is. So now you got to go through your box. You start throwing out the thing that didn't work, the stuff that's at the bottom that you don't even use no more for real. You start to throw these things out so you can make room for this new stuff. Then you have kids. Now they got to put stuff in your box too.
Everybody want to be in my box.
Y'all like, dang. All right, so then you look in the box and it may be something that you've been doing your whole life, bro. And you're like, you know what? It ain't about me no more. You start taking that stuff out. Start making room in this box. So that way you can hold the things for your family and everybody can be comfortable, right? So that's how I look at filter life. Like it's having things in your life that at one point meant more to you than anything. Then realizing that there's things that mean so much more and processing out those things as you go along. And understanding that the thing you held on to that you felt was your whole life really was just a piece and you let it go. And then you start to think the thing that you threw out that is replaced by something that your children put in or that your wife put in or that your family member puts in now replaces that genuine thing that you thought you couldn't live without. Now there's something new that replaces that. Then when you get a grandkid, you're going to do the same thing again.
You're going to move that box.
You're going to move
before you know
stuff
before you know it, man, you be standing on top of your box, man.
You're going to be on top of your box. But the thing is, the only part that will always stay steadfast is it's your box. You control what went in and you control what went out. So that's what filter life would mean to me. Controlling your peace of mind, controlling who you are, knowing who you have around you, understanding what's good for you, what's not good for you, and being open-minded enough to shift your perspective and move those things out that you don't need and try to hold on to the things that you have and utilizing them, not just keeping them in the box, using them, giving them away, letting other people experience what you have is filtering as well too, right? Because the kidneys filter in and out toxins and things that we have and then distribute it back out into the body cleaner. That's what we do in life. I take all this knowledge, all this energy, all this trials and tribulations, losses and wins, even though I don't lose, I learn. I take all of that, filter it in, and I give it back out to everybody in my own way. And they take it and they filter it through their life. So that's what filter life, the long version, means to me.
I love it. I love it.
Yep,
I love it.
that's it.
David, thank you for your time. Thank you for joining us on our podcast today. Thank you so much. I just want to thank you for being a brother, man. Thank you.
Hey, for sure, man. Hey, man, keep fighting. I know as every day gets harder, you know what I'm saying? Just continue to push, look at what your whys are, keep smiling,
Yes, sir.
and, keep moving, keep winning. And, it's not perfect, man, but it's yours, Yeah.
Every
And
day's
that's
a
it.
win,
I
brother.
appreciate you. Every day's a
Every
win.
day's a win.
Appreciate you
I love
having
it.
me, brother. Thank you so much.
No problem. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
And we'll see you guys on the next episode of the Filter Life Podcast.